Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you are. Welcome, welcome. My name is Tara. We are going to get started right at the top of the hour, but I knew I had a lot of folks in the lobby area or our virtual lobby area, so I wanted to let you in. If you wouldn't mind putting into our chat, you do have full access to chat as well as your camera. So if you would like to turn your camera on, please feel free to do so. You also have access to your microphone. So any of you who have joined me before in a digital workshop, you know our goal is to have an authentic conversation discussion around this topic. And I'm so excited about the topic today. But I would love, love, love to hear where you are from, your school district, and the location. If I can't tell by your school district, you can just drop that into chat where you are from. I'd love to know where the audience is joining me from. I'm in California, and today it is overcast and chilly. So it is finally on October 17th, starting to feel a little bit like fall in California. So let me know where you're from, and welcome, welcome, Canada. Nice, nice, nice. Pennsylvania, love. Beautiful. Awesome, awesome. Welcome. Ohio, love that. Oh, and I also love that we have someone from higher ed community college. Welcome. That is definitely my goal, is to ensure that the educator community is just that for all educators, not just K through 12. So welcome. Nice. Right. It has been hot. And so that's why I'm so excited that we are feeling our taste of fall these last couple of days. It's not going to last, unfortunately. I shouldn't say unfortunately. Um, but yes, warmth is coming back. But I do love today. They're kind of sleepy, but still cool. Oh, more Californiaites. Carson,
Strange
my
to office and admin. I will be on a virtual call for from 7 to 8 or so.
okay. I don't know if that was for us or not, but welcome, welcome to all. Thank you for putting in where you were from. We are right at the top of the hour. Again, I am super excited to have you all here. Thank you for joining us for this digital workshop. I'm going to emphasize it is a digital workshop. So my goal is to make sure that we have authentic conversations around the topic. And the topic today is esports and digital citizenships and a amazing curriculum that you're going to see. Um, Welcome to all. My name is Tara. I'm over our educator community, and I am just delighted to have you all here. Yes, this session is recorded, and yes, all of you who have registered will get a copy of the recording, but you can also visit the community. And, not sure how many are community members yet are not, but I hope that you give consideration to joining, because first and foremost, you can always find out what's coming up because you get notifications about when there's a new workshop happening, but also you get connected to a real community, a live community that collaborates, that contributes, that connects with one another. And so what I've just dropped into chat is the link to our community. I'm going to share my screen for just a moment. Going to do a couple of housekeeping items before we get started, and then I promise I will give it over to Shad. So here we have the link that I put into chat takes you to this landing page, which gives just kind of highlights our community. So I would encourage you to just kind of scroll through at your convenience. But if you come right here, there's a join tab. And because I'm in the community all the time, it takes me right in. But for those who've never been in the community, it's going to take you to a single sign-on page, and it's going to ask you for the email that's connected to your school email, and you'll select that, and then it will sign you in automatically. That's one time. You do that one time, and then you'll zip in just like I did within seconds. So um, just a couple of information that needs to be gathered initially, and then you'll go right in. The reason why I'm taking you here is A, I want you to know what is in the community, but also I am doing a giveaway at the end. And if you want an opportunity to participate in the giveaway, I'm going to need you to put some thoughts, reflections here. So this is the digital workshop that we're in, of course. So when I click on it, here, it takes me to the thread. And so what you'll do, as I've already started, is you can drop a reflection here. You'll know that you're signed into the community because you'll see your initials here at the top corner, or you'll see a picture if you've been in before and you've already added a picture. And then it'll to ask you to record your thoughts. You know that you're not signed in if it's not asking you to record your thoughts. That lets you know that you're in our visitor mode. And so I need you to be in as a member to actually be able to put thoughts here and participate in our drawing. I am giving away an interactive pin display at the end of the session. And what I do is I take all the thoughts, and I, of course, they're tagged to a name, and I put those names into the wheel of names, and then I'll draw, and then I'll have a winner. So I would definitely encourage you all to take a moment, and I always leave it open an hour after the session. So don't feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get it all done. No, be engaged, enjoy this workshop, enjoy the information that you're going to hear, and then know that you'll have an hour after the session to reflect real quick, drop it in the community, and then you'll become a part of our drawing. Okay, I am going to stop talking and sharing, and I'm going to hold on, make sure I'm not sharing anymore. Okay, perfect. And I want to introduce you to our facilitator for this session. He's just amazing. I had the privilege of meeting him at one of the conferences. Was it FETC? Which one? I saw him at two, so I get confused in which one. But I mean, he gave me this amazing curriculum that you guys are going to be able to see and have a copy of your own. And I just was so impressed with just his personality and his absolute joy that comes out of him around esports. So I know you guys are going to feel the same. I'm so excited for you all to see this. The information he has to share. It's awesome. So do enjoy. Remember, you can pipe in at any time, ask a question, because that's our goal with our digital workshops, is to make sure that it's interactive and that you are heard and seen. Okay, I'm ready. Are you
I'm ready.
ready?
Let's do it. My goodness,
Perfect.
that is a heck of an intro right there,
Oh,
Tara. That's like, my goodness, they'll live up to these expectations. Goodness.
sorry.
So, but no, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity with you, Sonic and stuff. We met at TCEA was the first time that we met. Was it
Thank you.
TCEA?
It was
Yeah.
TCA.
So,
Yes. Thank you.
yeah. So, and I appreciate that you like the curriculum so much. And I do hope that the curriculum is something that everyone that's on this meeting can find beneficial. It's something that I put together. And so it's not like expert by any stretch of the imagination, but hopefully it just helps you guys get started. And I know that sometimes the hardest thing to do is just to get started. So, but let's get started. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So a quick introduction for me. And it's not like too much here, but I am, 17 years teaching experience. I've been in the classroom for a while. I got a couple of awards, which actually took me out of the classroom 3 years ago, and started doing my current position, which is a STEM learning coach. So I support all STEM education in our district. I have a STEM bus that I travel around to schools, and we do on-the-spot PD training. So I'll take new technology into the classroom and actually teach the kids with the teachers. So a co-teaching model. So we're doing professional development with like drones or with microbits. And so it's a chance for the teachers to be able to say like, oh, I've seen this with my students, and not just they came to a PD and they just saw me teach them and then they have to go do it. Like I teach with them and show them that it's possible. So with that, I get to support some really, really great schools in the process, and that's kind of where my esports journey started, was supporting schools. I do have some coaching background, and that played a huge role in my initial intro to esports and how I approached it, which ended up being the wrong way to approach it. But we'll dive into all those things too. And then I also started a nonprofit in 2017. That's a golf nonprofit that actually plays a little role in what I eventually ended up doing with our program. So in 2023, when I actually started our esports, we had only esports at the high school level in Kentucky. So I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. Fayette County is the second largest school district in the state of Kentucky. We have about 40,000 students. We have 70 schools total. And so within that, it's only at the high school level. It is a Kentucky high school sport. So it is sanctions. They have to get the physicals, all of those things. The titles are approved by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association. And so with it being a high school sanctioned sport, there's a lot of rules and guidelines that go into that. But there's also some perks that happen. And with one of my schools that I was supporting, they had reached out to me and they had actually said, Shad, I would love to be the first elementary esports program in the state of Kentucky. So that was George Washington Carver STEM Academy for Boys. They're an all-boys academy. It's K through 5. And the principal was a gamer. And he was like, I know that you're doing STEM initiatives and supporting. We want to be the first one ever in Kentucky. So can you make that happen? And the cool thing about my job is I can say, yeah, let's see if we can make that happen. And so we went down the rabbit hole that was esports in Kentucky. And luckily, I'm going to be able to share with you how that went and how the curriculum was made. So again, in 2023, there's no elementary schools in the state that were doing it. So I didn't really have anything to go off of. So my initial start, as you're doing your big push and you're going to get buy-in of principals and teachers and everything, was to do, since esports is a high school sport and you can letter for playing Mario Kart, was, well, I'll treat it like I did with my coaching, which was, since I have the background in coaching middle and high school basketball and baseball, we are going to build a program, and the pitch is going to be, well, we're going to be the most elite athletic esports program in the state of Kentucky, because we're going to have the only pipeline that there is. We're going to start elementary, middle, and high. We're going to do just like they do all the other sports, basketball, soccer, because there's tons of youth programming when it comes to the YMCA or I Am Third. And there's nothing when it comes to esports. So that's why we're going to start it. We're going to start it so we can help support and grow and make this amazing esports program that will showcase FCPS as the best there is. And that was my pitch. And my pitch was immediately turned down. It was like, no, we don't want to do it. That does not sound like a good idea to get our kids involved in something that are, putting them in front of more screen time because they're already on the screen all the time. Or we're going to want them more active, not less active. You're sitting them in front of a video game, and some of the video games are violence and cost. And this is also where we had talked about, and she had talked about, like, that communication back and forth. I would love for some of you all to share, either in the chat or you can turn your mics on. What are you all hearing when you do your initial pitches? What are the no's that you're getting?
Well, when we started 4 years ago, it was pretty much, this is gaming. It's a waste of time, no value. And we proved them wrong.
Well, it looks like Jennifer's trying to speak and then nothing's coming out. The biggest thing out here is that they seem to be behind it, but they don't want to put the resources into it. So, like, because there's such a big unknown, right? Because it hasn't happened yet. There's a lot of apprehension about trying to start it and what that kind of, like, they're like, yeah, this sounds great. This is a great way to get kids involved, but then not interested in investing, again, going to cost. Like, they're not interested in talking about costs. They're just like, we can't do it because our budget's already maxed out.
One of my, excuse me, one of my biggest things is I have people on board, but now just trying to get the time to get this organized. Like I'm at the very base level, and just where do you get the time to organize and do this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because I'm pretty curious about the screen time, the more active, not less. Not so much the cost because it's not my money, but you know, it it does raise questions.
Yeah,
So I
sort of.
I don't know if I would say I'm
I have a monster
skeptical.
headache today, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you make
A
sure you're muted?
monster headache.
Oh, Paul Fileo is
Yeah,
unmuted.
can you mute? Oh, thank you. Okay. Sorry, thank you, DJ.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, so I'm still, I would put another kind of concern I have, which is like, does this connect kids socially? I assume it does. I assume you're going to have great explanations for all these things, but I am very curious about all those things. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I know. And I appreciate you guys sharing.
Yeah.
And it's always great to hear. So someone else? Yeah.
Anyone?
I'm hoping that this curriculum will be a good kickstart for our site. We're a C-STEM academy in a public school district, and my principal's all on board, and so hopefully we can get it going there. Then we can expand it out and see what happens. So
Awesome. No, that's great. And then one additional thing that my higher up said was, is there even any interest? Like kids are already doing all these other things. Like, is there any interest at all that if you were to start a program, you'd have kids sign up? And so that question is actually what guided me to where my curriculum ended up. So I wanted to start with, is there any interest? And so with that in mind, I went on and I surveyed. Again, we're a larger school district. So I wanted to go ahead and survey. So I surveyed almost 400 students in a variety of different schools. We just did, since we were focusing on elementary, and that's what my elementary support was for starting this. We did third, fourth, and fifth graders because those were the ones that we were going to do. And so you can see with the percentages there, so that's how many third, fourth. So it was pretty consistent. We had pretty consistent numbers across the board on those grade levels. And the big thing for me when I do, because I have somewhat of a math background too, besides science, I wanted to do the diverse aspect of everything. So we do have a wealthy school in our district. So I wanted to look at their demographic and get info from them. We have a Promise Academy. A Promise Academy is an academy that goes longer than our normal school year. They usually have students that are very low when it comes to test scores. And so I wanted to look at that school specifically as well. And then I wanted to pull in a Title I school, which was in red, and then our STEM Academy. Both the Title I and the STEM Academy.
did you enjoy it?
I'm sorry. If you're not talking, can you please ensure you're muted? And it's just Shad talking to House. So can we just make sure everyone's muted? Thank you. Oh, hold on. I think okay. Sorry about that. I found the person. Okay. Go ahead.
You're good. Awesome. Thank you. So, so we did have, in terms of the almost 400, so in terms of those students, we did have a smaller percentage. So like our STEM Academy, their student population, they, again, only have 2 teachers, for example, per grade level. But at our wealthy school, it is more, so they have like 4 to 5 teachers per grade level. So that's where you see those. But again, I wanted to get an overarching, like, what does this look like all across the board with a different demographic of students as we were working. So the first thing that I wanted to know was, do they even have gaming consoles? So naturally, if you're starting a program, is there any experience? Do they have gaming consoles? The ones that I chose specifically were the big ones, you know, your PC, your computer, if they're doing that, your PS4, your Nintendo Switch, and your Xbox. So I got some good numbers with that. I also noticed that the Nintendo Switch was the most popular, which was good for me to know that if I wanted to start a program, I probably was going to start with a Switch because it was the most popular out of those. And then I also took into account, since again, esports in the state of Kentucky is monitored by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, the gaming consoles that we have are to the left, except for Xbox. So Xbox wouldn't even matter. Probably not something I'm going to do if I'm working to train my kids to be successful at the high school and then the collegiate level. And it was also interesting to see that only 16% of kids don't have video games at home that we surveyed. So that was also a big thing as well. So the other thing that I looked at the specific gaming titles that were offered and were most participated in when it came to high school athletics. Again, if I'm going to do a program, I want to make sure that I can showcase a stair-step approach to what I'm doing at the elementary can be built upon and show that kids are successful at the high school level. So I took that in and we got some great results. Most students doing Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers. I was very surprised by Rocket League and even Splatoon, because that was the first time I'd ever heard of Splatoon, was when I was looking at the state information. So those things were very interesting to me. But then the questions started to get even more interesting. So I wanted to know how often kids were playing. And I found out that out of those kids that we surveyed, 70% of them are playing every day. And when we look at it weekly, almost 90% of kids play video games every single week. So then it was like, okay, I'm definitely going to get participation. Only 7% of the kids are never playing. So we've got some pretty good data here to show that there's interest. And hey, would you join? If I started this program, would you join? And so 56% of the students would sign up right now if we were to offer esports programming. And then the students that were maybe, we had almost 90% total that would, if we combine both of those. So I was, again, all the data I was given was like, yes, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be great. We're going to get kids involved. I still hadn't decided on my curriculum yet because I was trying to get that first question answered. Would there be interest? And then I asked this next question. And so this question came because knowing that high school sports is played online, I wanted to see if kids had that experience. So out of the students that we surveyed, 90% of students play video games online. Okay, that's good. They have some online experience. And then there was some alarming data that came out. 64% of the students talk with other gamers online. And so that number was staggering. I was like, wow, a lot of kids are talking with people that they have no idea who they are while they're gaming online. And then 68% of students, and again, I'm doing elementary kids, they know about or they currently use Discord as part of that gaming experience. And so then that's when I was like, okay, I am now realizing something that I didn't take into account before. There's a big safety concern with kids playing video games. We, as a school district, we are all about digital citizenship when it comes to teaching kids how to be safe when they're on their computers. But then as a district, we do a great job of like blocking sites and doing everything like that. But when we have 90% of our kids playing and doing something at home, and out of those 90%, like they're engaging with people that they don't know who they are, and they're using communication platforms that parents have no clue about. Are we doing a good enough job of teaching students how to be safe when they're gaming? So then that was where everything changed. And I went back to administration and I said, hey, I took all this data and I was going to answer your question on would there be interest, but I actually found out a more glaring and more important thing that we all need to be addressing. Why students need the protection of us as teachers to teach them how to be safe and those appropriate gaming strategies when they're gaming online. And so I said, I'm going to approach it through the ISTE Standards of Digital Citizenship, and we're going to pull this in there. And then I took this quote from an esports training that I had done. 3/4 of our kids no longer play with strangers online. They team up and play with their friends. And so that's where the community piece is going to come into. So my pitch and my goal was, hey, we're going to teach kids how to be safe when they're gaming online, safe gaming habits, healthy gaming habits, and we're going to build their community of friends. So when they go home, they're going to play with other kids that they've met in their esports programs and other kids they know here in the district, not with strangers that they have no idea who they could end up being. So with that in mind, I went through my little bullet points: teach students how to be safe while gaming, build a community of safe gamers, connect students to future STEM careers. So since I'm doing it as a STEM school, we pulled in some STEM career components, and then also using gaming to connect students to their communities. So that was the other big piece that I pitched as well. So we teach kids how to be safe while gaming online, but we were going to build their community here just in Lexington, and we'll talk about how I did that towards the end. But if you got the link to the presentation early on, there's also a link that if you click on here, it will take you to the digital citizenship curriculum, because I wanted everyone to get a chance to peek at it and kind of see it. So when I click on it, it's just going to give you just a view mode We are going to email out a PDF so you guys can print and make copies and stuff like that. But I wanted to give everyone a chance just to kind of to get that and peruse through and just kind of go through and check out what I've done and how it's kind of set up. So the goal of the program within the curriculum is that it does go through the ISTE standards. So we talk about the digital footprint, online interactions, digital privacy, and intellectual property, but we do it all through the lens of the ISTE standards. So I'll let you guys click on that real fast, and then I'll share some important things.
I just reshared the link. So I know some of you came in at different times in the session. So just click on the link that I just dropped in the chat, and that'll take you there. And do we have a question from Paul? My pleasure. And yes, you guys, the session is being recorded, so you will have it'll be emailed to everyone who registered, as well as it'll live in the community. Yes, you'll get a copy of a PDF copy of of what you're perusing now, the curriculum. And yes, Shad is also making his deck available for you guys. So he's just so generous. He's giving it all to you.
No,
I hope I answer everyone's questions. And then
yeah.
Paul.
And so if you guys got the link, and I'm going to show some of the pictures too, the way that I approached each lesson. So our programs have about an hour. So it's a 30-minute activity. So they spend 30 minutes learning about, for example, digital footprint. What is it through the lens of esports? Why is it important? And then they have a gamer challenge each day as well. So the first gamer challenge that we did was building a strong digital footprint for their club. We did some gamer guidelines, and they actually use digital tools like Canva or Adobe. So each of our esports, we just did it at one. But each of our esports programs would actually create a poster and post it in their esports lounge of their strong digital footprint or their gamer guidelines that they were going to be following. And so that was kind of how it was. And it was also set up too because each location was different. So sometimes what they would end up doing was some schools would actually they would do digital footprint. What is it? Why is it important? And then they would game for a little bit. And then the next week when they came back, then they would do part two. Then they would do a gamer challenge week 2 and then play games as well. So as I told my coaches as they were getting started, it was very flexible. Like really it's meant to be what works best for you and your schedule. And so then like in lesson 2, we go through scenarios that are faced that when they are gaming online, we have conversation talking points that they would do. They come up with their gamer tag. There's a website there that they can go to that shows them if their tag is used or not used. We talk about what that looks like. And then also at lesson 2, we start doing our esports healthcare gamer warm-ups. And so there's a link at the very end that shows you what that looks like. But you can just go to YouTube and type in esports healthcare gamer warm-up, and there's a bunch of different options. And so this is something that we would do before we game and after we game, just when we talked about gaming and stuff. And we have closing conversations as part of the curriculum as well, so kids can share and kind of talk through some of the activities that we did. So we got some more here with online interactions, playing new games, getting feedback, and again, those things. Another thing that I wanted to build in was the kindness quest. So the kindness quest is actually a behavior management for the program. So there's actually a bit.ly here that says kindness quest. It looks like this, but basically what we would do is with our gamer guidelines, each time that we would meet and as we were gaming, one of the big feedbacks that I got from the high school programs was kids don't know how to game in person because they're so busy gaming online that when I get them together at the high school level and they're around kids for the first time, there's bad language, they're struggling with winning and losing. So I built in as part of the digital citizenship piece, like just a kindness quest that at the end, the teams won a prize. So they would get points based on exhibiting those gamer guidelines that you do on the very first day. And then at the end of each day, the coach would award points to the team. So you have your team name and they would get points. So again, this is just a free copy of what that looks like. And then you can put the team's logos on there if each team has their own logo and those things. So then We go into digital privacy, and the format is always the same. You learn about it, you see real examples of it, you have discussion points, and then there's always that gamer challenge, something for them to do. This was a good one that we got a lot of positive feedback from parents and administrators. We did a digital privacy checklist where kids had to go home with this curriculum, and they had to double check with their parents that their parents understood the parental controls that were on the Nintendo Switches that we were using. Parents had to be aware of the friends that they had already made online and who those friends were. And so, and then also too, this was a chance for our kids to share the gamer hashtag or the nicknames of the other kids that were in our program and add them to their friends so that parents could feel comfortable that the friends that kids were making were the appropriate friends and friends that they could trust. And so then we have intellectual property. Now, this one is actually not digital citizenship, but it was really, really important because it does talk about appropriate behavior when you're online and having this, but also this is the last lesson that takes you to the career aspect, and we put some information on there and some data and stuff about careers in gaming and how it's connected to intellectual property. But the big thing is this will actually turn into our next curriculum piece. So what we will do after this, I'm going to exit this so you guys can get back to. Boop. So here it is. So we get all the way through there. I'm going to jump. So let me get out of that real fast because I'm going to jump back to the presentation now so you guys can see.
We have a few questions. Can we?
Yes.
Do you mind?
No.
Okay.
Hit me with them.
I want to make sure I don't miss anyone's. Let me just scroll up just a bit. You do Minecraft lessons. Okay. Okay. I just want to, I scrolled like too far up. Okay. But I think I'm starting with Paul. I am. Let's see. One of the considerations with competitive esports is an educational environment can be risks of boundaries, pushing behavior yeah. I'm trying to get to the question. What's the best way to ensure safety for students in these environments while enabling healthy competitiveness? I think, Shad, you just kind of touched on that. Tools like monitoring and filters training, both. Did Paul, or go ahead, Shad. I'll
No,
let you.
that's good. So some of the things too, since we are, sorry, I'm all the talking. So when it comes to online gameplay, since we're at the elementary level, they're under the age of 12. They do not get online and play. They only play in LAN tournaments and they play at school. So when we would do in-person tournaments, we would set that up beforehand and everything would be LAN set up. So then that's how we would play. Students are not allowed to get online with their information. So then what the practices would do, because they're going to go home and do it anyways, but they're not doing it on the school's time. So that's where you get that other buy-in. Students are not logging in when they're at school. We're not doing that, but we are teaching them when they are gaming all of those components in the curriculum. How to be safe when you're gaming. What are appropriate interactions when you're interacting with somebody that's online or you're playing against somebody that's online. Building your community. So when you do go home and play, you're not going to play with random, Mark Bbot 297 who had no idea who that might be and stuff. And so that's where we kind of get that safety piece. They're still learning and practicing in school, but everything is offline.
Love that. Are ESRB ratings the best guide to segment competitive esports games for kids, age, and maturity level? Or are there other ratings or guidelines you'd recommend following? Again, this is from Paul. Thank you, Paul, for your question.
Yeah. No, so we are very fortunate because it's a high school sponsored sport that those ratings and guidelines and the titles that we're allowed to play have come through them. What we've done on top of that is we've also looked at the collegiate level to understand like what scholarships are available, what scholarship games are most popular at the universities that we have in Kentucky. So we looked at that as well. So we kind of only did games that we knew were already approved through the state. And that were already being done at the collegiate high school level. But those grades, those games are also chosen with those ratings. So that's what our state uses is those ratings, those EPS ratings. So if it says 10 and up like Super Smash, that means even though we were doing Super Smash at the elementary level, it was for our fifth graders and up because they met the age guidelines. Nice. So good questions.
Thank you for clarifying. And do you have a YouTube channel from Jennifer?
Oh, I love that. So I do have a YouTube channel. If you just search up Shad Lacefield, you'll see some really crazy things on there. So that's we'll get to that at the very end. But I used to dress up in costumes and stuff. So a lot of the videos that you're going to see on there are me in costumes, because when we were doing COVID and virtual stuff, I dressed as a different character as I was teaching science and stuff. So you just be like, there's a lot of weird videos on there of him talking about particles dressed as Captain America. So it's just some weird stuff. That's
Whatever it takes to get them
Whatever it
into it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for your questions, you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Could you resend Canva? Yes, I will put that in again. Will do. Okay, you please keep going.
Yeah. So remember at the beginning, I was saying we only had these high schools and we had one elementary school. Well, after I wrote the curriculum and I shared it with the one elementary school, that principal then shared it with other elementary schools. And we immediately had two more schools, elementary, that wanted to join in. So the ISTE Academy for Girls and Mary Todd Elementary. So then we ended up, I was just going to do one esports program. We ended up doing three. So we had three programs that were running. They did it after school. Again, it was about that hour. And then we just did everything through the lens of that digital citizenship piece. I know that we're talking about the curriculum, but I think these things are important too for if you're coming to get a new curriculum to get your program started. I feel like this information is important too. So what we did was, since we're at the elementary school, we had a gaming setup. This is where ViewSonic came in. So we have our ViewSonic IFPs that are on Rolly carts. And so I developed a gamer backpack that was less than $1,000 that could support a team of 4. That includes 2 games, the controllers, the charging port, like all the things that we would do that you see in the picture. And so then what would happen is that gaming backpack could be used to be set up on any IFP in any room. And if we wanted to, and I'll show you for the next one, we actually did 2 different scenarios. So on the left, this is our ISTE Academy for Girls. They did not have a designated space. So they had their STEM lab, which we then turned into their gaming lab. And we would do that in about 40 minutes. And that QR code that's on there shows a YouTube video of me setting that room up in about 40 minutes using our gamer backpacks. We eventually taught the kids how to do that, and that became a responsibility piece for them, cleaning up and setting up their gaming space. And we would just wheel those IFPs from the surrounding classrooms right in, plug everything up, play, and then roll them back out. Now, George Washington Carver, where I started this, he went a little bit bigger. So we actually got some additional funding, and we built the first ever elementary esports lounge in the state of Kentucky in their library. So they wanted a designated space, and that's where you see the boys playing at the top right. But not all schools have that option. So remember, we said we have 3 elementary schools. So the bottom elementary school is Mary Todd Elementary, and they did not have a STEM space that they could use, and they definitely weren't going to be able to make an esports lounge. So what they did was, their principal's super great. Their teaching lounge is where they stored everything. So after school, the teacher's lounge turned into their gaming space. So where they would have their meetings and stuff. So like the big table and everything. And we have 2 IFPs already in there. And their team was a team of 8, which is perfect for our 2 IFP setup. And so it worked out great. And again, check out those QR codes. It'll do a walkthrough of the gaming space up at the top here at George Washington Carver, and then our gaming space for our girls. And so then we talked about the other things that our curriculum was meant to do. So then we started to, since we were talking about digital citizenship, we did an esports exhibition. So with that, we invited, we have several universities that have esports teams. So we had 7 universities come to an event to speak to parents about healthy gaming habits, screen time, all of the things that the collegiate and college professors want to be able to share with parents and that kids need to know. And then we had a Mario Kart racing tournament that yielded our 3 best Mario Kart times. And they got to compete against the collegiate team that was there from the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville. So they got to play. We had a shoutcaster there. We got to do it on the stage. Parents got to watch, so it was super fun. We then held the first ever elementary esports tournament for Rocket League in the state of Kentucky, and we did that at Transylvania's Esports Lounge. So they were a partner that came in, heard what we were doing, heard we were doing digital citizenship, wanted to be involved, and let us use their esports lounge for free. And then this up here is, again, George Washington Carver, that has the first elementary esports lounge in Kentucky. So we turned their gym and esports lounge into a big space because we wanted to do this event. So we talked about keeping kids safe when they're gaming online, but then we also wanted to show how gaming can be used for good. So this was our end of the year. We did this year one. We're going to do it every year. It's a yearly tournament. It's called Heroes and High Scores. And let me know if you can't hear it. No. So I thought that could possibly happen.
Did you share your sound when you?
You are exactly right. When I hit share, I'm going to jump down real
does it let
fast.
you?
Include sound. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just forgot to click that.
Oh, no, no worries. I do it all the time.
All right. So we'll go back to our heroes and high scores. So, and this is another thing that I would recommend doing, and I can collaborate with anyone if you guys have questions.
In other news tonight, one school is celebrating National Police Week in a unique way. George Washington Carver STEM Academy for Boys hosted its first Esports Super Smash tournament. The school invited police officers and high school esports players to team up with the elementary school kids in the tournament. The event was held at the STEM Academy's Esports Lounge, which is the first elementary esports lounge in Kentucky.
We want everyone to have a chance to see the game in different levels because our high school gamers are amazing. Our elementary kids, they're learning, they're pretty good. And our police officers, they have no idea. Like, they're just getting started. So it's really fun to kind of have those three different skill levels along with age levels all playing together. And again, building that esports community where they can all just laugh and have a good time.
The winning team received grand prizes, with the high school team member earning a gaming computer monitor, the elementary school student getting a Nintendo Switch, and the officer getting a Tempur-Pedic mattress.
Very nice. I used to play that game, but I was not very good at it. My brother always beat me.
Yeah, it's amazing how good the young ones are.
I know.
So good times. So yeah, so that event kind of helped showcase, excuse me, again, like the gaming for good philosophy that we were approaching with digital citizenship, keeping kids safe, building the community of gamers, and then also bringing in outside community partners that keep our community safe, like police officers, and then getting them to pair with our kids and stuff. And so it went super great. We got tons of great feedback, so we'll be doing another one this year. And we did that during Police Appreciation Week, which is in May. So that was also a big piece too. So our kids helped design the posters for the police officers. And the posters were really funny because the police officers got to pick gamer names and all kinds of stuff, and the kids got to help them design the posters. So that was the end of last year in 2023. Again, it went super great. We had great feedback. So naturally, as we're starting this school year, we relaunch and we see who wants to do it. So now you can see the numbers down at the bottom. Our 5 high schools are now also 5 middle schools and 25 elementary schools that'll be doing esports this year. So we've had a massive amount of growth. When I was talking about digital citizenship being where we started, that last piece of the curriculum transitions into the innovative designer, which is the next ISTE standard that we will be looking at. So students this year will be doing logo design and creating their esports logos for their teams. They'll be doing e-publishing and working on publishing things for their esports programs and stuff. And so we have some groups that have already done the logo design but are working on e-publishing, working on some flyers and things that they can share with parents that show the importance of esports, pulling some data and some evidence of attendance and things like that. And then we've changed the name of the program too to Epic Esports, where it started out as Extraordinary Esports last year. That now has rolled over into my nonprofit. So I talked about DSE Golf. So DSE Golf was a nonprofit that supports golf with underprivileged kids. So now it also has welcomed in esports. So now Extraordinary Esports is part of that nonprofit that can help with the funding. And Epic Esports is our district-wide new name that's all about engaging players in inclusive competitions. So part of our enrollment is the importance of including gamers with disabilities and girl gamers as well. So, and then this is my info, and I will take some more questions and all the things.
I got them for you. Let me scroll up. Okay, so everyone kept asking me to resend the curriculum as well as a link for the presentation. I've just redone that. Again, you'll get the PDF version of the curriculum and in the email with the recording. Okay, so know that you will get a version that you can print and all that. Let me make sure I've got that covered. Okay, done, done, and done. And okay, have you built a longer tail into your esports program, such as attending game development events or learn game development as a possible STEM career path? That's from Paul. Thank you again, Paul.
Yeah, so we did. So at the event that I was sharing, which invited the colleges there, so that event is called Spark, and it's coupled with a bunch of other STEM careers that are there. So we just were able to pull in gaming as part of that. So in our district, we have Eastside Technical School, which is like our tech school. So they actually have a video game design class. So we had the students that had just built out their video game that they were getting ready to start soft testing, and they brought the game and we built a setup for them so that they could have our kids and parents play the video game that our high schoolers had created. And then in terms of the universities here, UK has a very successful esports program, but Transy, where we did the Rocket League tournament, they actually have a video game design class. So we had their professor and some of their students that had built video games and they had already beta tested, but they were getting ready to start marketing and selling. We had them bring their games as well to showcase to the kids. Like, this is one of those things. And we are, not this year, but in 2 to 3 years as our curriculum grows, that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at doing, is including that as kind of like every year we've changed our curriculum and added new things to it.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you have numbers for typical startup costs for a brand new club?
Yes, absolutely. So we tried to base everything off of around that $1,000. So some things to think about too within that $1,000. That was for our gamer backpack. That was for a team of 4. It could be up to a team of 8. So one of the ways that one school did it was they would have 4 kids playing while 4 kids were doing the curriculum, and then they would switch. So they could have a team of 8 for only that amount. Also too, if kids already have those gaming consoles, they can bring them. So what some of the other schools did was they were like, okay, we're going to buy one Switch setup for 4, but if you all have your own, you can bring your own in as well and be able to set and play, which is what our high schools were already doing. So a Nintendo Switch, another thing to think about, get in with your local community. So we have GameStop here in Lexington, and it's been a process, but we've entered into a partnership where our district, since we're purchasing a lot this year, we got the Pro thing for free. So you get a percentage off, and there's special Pro deals and stuff that will come through. But we also have gotten used V2s instead of the OLED. And so when you get the V2s and they're used, the initial startup cost is a lot less. So we end up paying only like $222 for a Nintendo Switch instead of like the $260 to $280, sometimes $300 that it could be. So that kind of helped too. But again, that took networking and community building and pulling those partners in, like GameStop or Walmart or something like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Liza. And this is from Paul, do you have a list of what was included in the backpacks or a list of equipment?
I do, yes. And I can put that in there with it. So that way, because that's just a great point. So I'll give that, so we can email that when we do the PDF of like, this
Perfect.
is what we put in there. Because I also have like a controller recommendation, because if you're doing Minecraft, the controller that we use is a wireless controller that works with a Nintendo Switch, but it can also be plugged into the student's Chromebook and they can play Minecraft on the controller, which they really like. So it's like multifunctional.
Lovely. Okay, thank you for that, Paul. And this is from Al, I believe, AJ, I'm not sure. I'm still not understanding how this leads to athleticism in terms of movement and activity. Can you cover that? And can you share your perspective on how this is a sport versus a game?
Yeah. So the only reason why it's a sport in Kentucky instead of a game is because the Kentucky High School Athletic Association said that it was. So in terms of the activeness, so we had this perspective from the collegiate students when they talked about you have to work on your body to be able to sit, focus, and game when you're gaming. So the athletic side of things, we'll take one of our state champions in Lafayette that's been doing it forever. So he specifically works on core exercises, eye exercises. They do the esports healthcare and stuff like that. He's like, because when you're gaming, you don't want the fatigue of your body or your posture or anything like all of that to come into effect when you're gaming for an extended period of time or when you have a long match. So from exercising, the fine motor things to even your whole body, your core, everything, like all of that comes into. He's like, so, we do core exercises, we do plyometrics and stuff like that as part of before we start gaming, because we know it takes a whole healthy body to be able to game at the highest level. You're not going to see, and when you look online at most of the elite gamers, the body build and stuff like that you oftentimes sees are a little bit more lean and stuff because they are putting that time into taking care of the whole body and what they eat and what they put into their body so they can be effective and stay at the highest level while they're gaming.
Nice. Good points that I've never considered either. So great question. And I love that response. That helps me a great deal. What do you recommend when a school is starting from scratch? I know we talked about it from a budgetary standpoint, but is there I guess a quick start list
so
you recommend?
one thing too that you can think about that we actually were doing as well is Minecraft. So I'm a Minecraft ambassador. We are including Minecraft in our esports. It's not a state-sponsored sport, but it's something that's free that every kid has because we have it on our Chromebooks already as we're a Microsoft district. And so we have district-wide build challenges that we do. So teams learn, collaborate, and then we host an event and we have teams from different schools all come into that join code, and then we have build plates up with a timer, and then we have them build and they build against each other. We have a rubric that they've been practicing on so they know what the build's going to be before they get there, and we do that. And that's as we told our schools that could not get funding. So that's the thing, we have 30 schools this year from 3, and so it's like, how do you fund all of those schools? Well, we couldn't. I mean, I wrote tons of grants. I got close to $40,000 in grant money to be able to get it at most schools, but not all. So then it's like, well, what do the other schools do? And that's where Minecraft came in. So if you couldn't get money, or if I couldn't find a grant that met your demographic, then they did Minecraft. And so we have Minecraft build challenges that the esports teams will be competing in.
Excellent. Thank you. If you have 3, I'm sorry. I know there was a raised hand. I don't want to. Zach. Okay. Yes. Get to that. And then I'll come back to the chat. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Since the topic of athleticism and sports versus games came up, I know that we're talking about digital citizenship and esports curriculums, but one of the things I ran into as I started asking questions was where does the esports land within our community? Because out here in California, CIF also has competitive high school esports. And so the question became, does it land under STEM? Do we hand it to athletics? Who has the final say? Is it our athletic director? Is it our STEM coordinator? I was wondering if you had any insight on that or how to go about navigating those kinds of things.
Please, your STEM coordinator, please.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure
if you have that option.
Okay. I'll make sure to push for that.
Because it gets left, it's an athletic sport here in Kentucky, but it gets left off. It's the athletic departments don't care about it. They don't fund it properly. So our high school programs have to do all of their funding and everything. If they want to travel, they have to raise all their mones. They can't get their jerseys paid for, like basketball, football. They get their jerseys paid for. But again, that's all athletic department decisions. And so you get more buy-in when it's not the athletic department.
All right. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Zach. Okay, I'm coming back to chat from Liza. If I have 3 switches already, is that enough to get started?
Oh, absolutely. That's plenty. And 2, with your titles, if you're looking at, do you know by chance if you might be going into because Playversus is one of the platforms, but there's also the USAEL, NACEF has programs. Would you know if there's something like that?
I have absolutely no idea
It's okay.
what I'm doing.
3 switches are great. I would also recommend Mario Kart be the first one that you start out with because it's a low entry level learning curve. Okay, it's
Yes.
driving a car, and so Mario Kart's a great one to start off with. Switches are also cheaper than most of the consoles that you can find, and also Mario Kart can be a team sport. You can play team versus team, so multiple kids could be using one Switch. And so Mario Kart's always my first one that I say, like, that's the easiest one to go to, and the rating is also rated for everybody, so that makes a big difference too.
And just a little adding to the how can this be physical? I'm actually a health and wellness teacher, and I got this stuff for a grant for my lifetime wellness class to start incorporating video games into PE. I mean, we got to do what the kids like to do. So a suggestion would be having like the Ring Fit Adventure and the boxing and the Just Dance. That could be a warm up for your team practices, even because they're loving it in my class. So
No, that's awesome.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Liza. John, did you have any national sponsors?
Great question. So I guess I can share. So ViewSonic and Encore, which is one of our vendors, they have come in to help us out with jerseys. It's not something that they do very often. A couple of things that help. It helps that we've been a vendor with them for a long time. I've developed really great relationships with the person that sells the stuff that's here. We've also volunteered to do PD's trainings. I've done certain things with ViewSonic and gaming. We're putting their logo on things. And it also, it helped from their perspective too, of like showcasing how gaming can be more widespread with how we use their equipment to be able to start our programs. The other, not really like larger sponsors, but GameStop became a sponsor because of how much money we were saving through them. And also too, like in the past 2 weeks, I've spent almost $10,000 buying Nintendo Switches and games and stuff. So it's helping them out because they don't want us to buy on Amazon or anywhere else. They want us to keep it inside. So that's been really good, and a good partner to have. And honestly too, I would say you're better at not doing big time corporations. If you're going to get sponsors, you're going to have more success staying local into your community than you are reaching out to the big sponsors because they have certain guidelines and things and forms that you have to fill out. So honestly, like I was able to get a friend of a friend who works at a bank to buy jerseys for a whole school faster than if I was to reach out to Home Depot or Walmart or something and do that. Some things to think about when you talk about, so banks, the larger the bank, if you know the bank president or the manager, I know a few of them here from my nonprofit work, they have allotment of money that they can do without getting approval. So like a lot of the smaller banks, it's a $500 limit. And most of them can do that with a card and not get approval from anybody else if you talk to the main bank person. Some of the larger banks, it's $1,000 approval. So I knew that with my nonprofit work. And so I was able to talk to some of the smaller banks and ask for a $250 sponsor to put their name on the back of the kids' jerseys, and I could buy jerseys for that whole school. Or then with the larger school, I was like, hey, I know your kid goes to this school and he's getting ready to get into esports. Could you buy it for his school and the surrounding schools so he has someone to compete against? And I know his limit was that $1,000. But again, that just takes time in building your community. I was fortunate that I'd started a nonprofit in 2017. So I've had years of making those community connections.
Lovely. Awesome insight. Thank you. And thank you for the question. And then I have one from Paul. There are games that require more athleticism, such as Nintendo Dance Pad Games since it's okay. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. I appreciate that. That goes back to the point we were making around athleticism. Okay, so a new console should be coming from Nintendo soon. Sorry. Should we be holding out for that?
No, I think that's a fantastic question. One of the biggest things that we have looked at, because we've already bought, like we're buying the old one because we know that even with the new console coming out, because our state is PlayVersus, so that's who works with our sponsors. So it takes time to roll those things out, and they're not going to get rid of the old things in the meantime. So if you're starting now, like we're starting now, we don't necessarily have the time to wait. And we know it's going to be a couple of years before all those things get rolled out. Like they've added new titles, like chess is a new title, for example. So if you wanted to hold out, you could look at what titles are available through the bigger competitions, like Minecraft, for example, if you wanted to start there and you wanted to wait for the other ones. But for us, it didn't really make sense for us to have to wait for the new consoles because we're currently competing now. And again, we know there's going to be a little bit of time between now, and when all those come out and everyone switches over and everyone does. So
Beautiful. Thank you. Let's see, Scott, in addition to HSEL, USAEL, Play versus Fanta, and all of that, many states have educator-led leagues. ISEA is a group of these states. This is a list. Oh, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate the questions, the insights that you all are sharing. Please feel free to, if you haven't done so already, copy and paste some of this valuable information that's being shared, like these links, to get more insights around that.
And I can kind of share our perspective too. So we have to do Play Versus because that's our state. But Play Versus is our state sponsored, and they've been great to us. Nothing but great things to say about Play Versus and how they've really tried to support us. They've even given, so when we start, I got 7 new Nintendo Switches and new games as well when we were starting new programs. But we are also, Extraordinary Esports as a nonprofit, we are also a member of the USAEL, which we get a free affiliate status being nonprofit. So Play Versus is our state. Our kids compete at a regional level using the USAEL for free. And then NACEF also is our national and then international program, and NACEF is also free. So since we do gaming titles like Mario Kart and Minecraft, like all that plays into. So our kids get a state competition, regional competitions through the USAEL, and then our national competitions through NACEF.
Beautiful. And I have one more question from Jennifer. Is this typically an after-school program?
Yes, there is a career path. We had talked a little bit because I think Paul had said something about this. Our hope is once we show how many kids are interested, I think we have like close to 400 kids right now that are early enrolled for it. What we want to do is make it a middle school career, so an elective path. And so we've done this before with drones, which we did about 3 years ago. We did a drone elective that they could do at middle school and select it. So we're going to do gaming as one too, but we just need time to show how much it's grown and build that, but then we'll do it in school eventually. But it always started for us outside of school.
Love. Awesome. 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 Oh my gosh. This was such an amazing session. I don't see any more questions in chat. If I have missed your question, please, please, please pipe in now. But are there any other lingering questions out there that didn't get into chat? Anyone else? Okay. So we are right at the top of the hour. I did reshare the link to get into the community space. Again, for those, I think it was a question for those of you who weren't sure where to go. I'm going to share my screen one more time. You would come here. The link takes you to this page here. You click on Join the Community. Below any of those banners that are scrolling, I'm in the community all the time, so it takes me directly here. Remember, you will quickly connect your email address and then sign on, and then do the single sign-on option, or put in your information if it doesn't find you with single sign-on. You're going to come here to this session, digital workshop, this banner, click on it anywhere on the banner. It takes you to here, and this is the thread. So far, there's just me. So at this point, I don't have anyone to give the interactive pin display to. So
You
if you
said
would,
at the beginning you were going to leave it open for
I
now.
am.
Some of us were paying
But
attention.
yes, and I still will. Thank you, Zach. I still will, but I expected to see like at least a person at the end of the session, but I know you guys were listening, and I am so cool with that. You have an hour to drop in to this thread a reflection, comment, question, whatever, and I will use the names that are connected to that comment to put into the wheel of names, and I promise I will draw, and as long as I have more than one person, I need more than one, but I will draw, and then I will announce the winner in the community. So I really hope you have an opportunity to join this community space. we're over time, so I'm not going to go into what's here, but you will always be able to find even our archived workshops. You'll find them in the community as well. I will just to reiterate, you will be getting all of these goodies after the recording is completed. You'll get it via email because you registered for this workshop. Thank you so much to I think you guys can agree. He's amazing. Again, the enthusiasm, it's so infectious. The information, the insight was wonderful. Thank you, Shad. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all for joining. I thank you for your time.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for coming.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me. And I posted my socials again. Please reach out, follow, check out our videos, all the things. Reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram. Again, DSE Golf. I know it's DSE Golf, but it's esports too. So
Awesome. I think we have everything. You guys, if you can ping me in the community. You can email me if you have additional questions. I'll put my thing here really quick. It's just tara.tibbs@viewsonic.com. If you have anything else, and I will make sure that it gets addressed. Thank you guys, and look for, and again, you'll get the recording and everything else. All right. Nice. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Shad, will you still take questions or?
yeah, I have a few more minutes before my next meeting.
I just had a quick question on you talked about your middle school elective paths.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have them like just like specifically like for coding and in addition to like esports and the drones I said that you were talking about?
So it will be like a video game design elective. It will include coding. So one of the things that we're looking to is, again, being a Minecraft ambassador. The Minecraft does have a video game world that just recently came out that has you code and build and create your own video game. We are also including microbits. So microbits is another really cool piece, and it has the controller that you can buy attachment with it. So students can design, create video games, and then use it like a cartridge to put it in there. I'm presenting on this with a friend at Kentucky Tech Conference and stuff, but it'll be like that. It'll be, and it's ideally connected to, much like we did with drones, the Eastside Technical Schools and then the college cohort as well through Transy. So that'll be like the STEM pipeline. They get interested in this elected at the middle school with the coding programming and creating a video game. And then it helps them decide that pathway if they want to do that career pathway at Eastside Tech and then Transylvania.
Okay. Yeah. That we're just starting and we're a K-8 site. So our middle school population is small, but we're trying to develop some opportunities for them. This sounds like it would be a good interest because not all of them are into coding because I primarily teach them right now is just coding and robotics, basic robotics. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Do you guys have Minecraft in your district?
Yes.
Okay. Have you all done the hour of code, Minecraft hour of code?
We've done the ones through CodeHS, which is the curriculum that we use. And then last year I used it in the regular, just in the general classroom, but this year we're doing it as an after school program. So I'm starting that for this coming second quarter with kids. I have like 27 kids already signed up to come and do it. So I think I'm excited. Yeah, they're excited.
So I would absolutely, especially with coding and Minecraft being connected, their worlds that they create are really, really great. The one that they did this year, they piloted it with our school, so we'll actually be featured as in the credits. But it's really cool. Students will be creating an actual like play using coding, everything from the choreography to the costumes to all that. And it's really simple. Like I did it with third graders, all the way up to high school students. And so, yeah, but it's the new Our Code world. It should drop in a couple weeks. And then,
Okay.
but yeah, it's a great one. Like I said, it's just a playthrough tutorial with NPCs that they interact with, and it teaches them how to code in the process. So it's a good intro.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to look for that.
Yep.
Thanks again very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Mhm.
Hey, John, did you have a question? I saw the mic kind of pop on and off. Oh, but it's not letting me hear you. Yeah, I'm not getting any sound. I see it turning blue, which usually means that you'd be, but I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything. I'm sorry, John. John, are you on Discord or anything? That's or you can reach out to me on socials too. Oh, okay. Um, so let me type in real fast. I'm Shadrack 1992 because my favorite game is Mario Kart. So that's me on Discord too. And yes, it's Shad like Shadrack. No, my brothers are not Meshach and Abednego, but I get that all the time.
All right, now does it work?
Hey, it works. John, I hear you.
I figured out for some reason the mic was set to something else. Yeah, so I just had a question about before you had the police officers and did that kind of tournament, did you have or did you try any other members of the community, or is that always your first thought and just kind of went with that?
So we went with police officers because my golf program that I started, we do an event called Force on the Course. It's a Star Wars themed golf tournament that brings first responders. So we've done that for 5 years. So I already had connections with police officers. So that's why we did that first. And then we did it in connection to Police Appreciation Week. Our city has gone through like a decrease in terms of gun violence. And so a lot of these activities that we do with some of our programming, like DSC golf and stuff, we've kind of used that to show data in our city of how like connecting our police officers with kids have had an impact in reducing gun violence. And so that's why we just continued since we were doing that anyways. It was like, hey, how about you guys do video games as well? We're already doing, golf and stuff.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, I guess so. I'm kind of working with Stay Plugged In a little bit to try to create a tournament. We're not going to be able to do it this fall. I'll probably be in the spring. But I didn't even think about considering doing that with officers. That's a great idea. Again, tying those in, especially our resource officers. Yeah, I was just curious if you tried anybody else, but that's great. Thank you so much for that.
And also another group that you can reach out to is the military. So each branch of the military has esports teams, and they also want to be involved. We didn't have a chance to do our Heroes and High Scores next year will involve military, but just didn't in that first year because there was a lot going on.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that's pretty good. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm more at the high school level, but when I do these trainings, at our events, I have a lot of middle and elementary, and we just haven't bridged that gap yet. So this was like perfect to get especially those elementary schools in. We do have a lot of kids still in our esports teams doing Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, but I guess Smash would be too much for the elementary. I think.
No, so we had like so our fifth graders were doing in the Super Smash tournament. The way that Heroes and High Scores was formatted was each team was made up of a high school gamer, a police officer, and elementary kids. So all three of them were on one team. So you had the three different skill levels, and they would play against another team of three. And it was the high school gamers played each other, the elementary kids played each other, and the police officers played each other. So it wasn't like mixing like you're beating up a police officer, but it was just like whatever police officer you had who's really bad was playing against another police officer who was really bad. And so it ended up working out in that tournament. And we did basically play versus formats of, so many stocks and three and stuff like that. And you would have a tiebreaker, which would be the police officer. And then it would go towards points and rankings as we kind of did. It was a whole process, but.
Okay. Great. Yeah. What about, I know because we started, I guess Vessel started not invade. We started doing a lot with Vessel. Our UNCG esports kind of transformed into that, and that made Play Versus finally free to us, which we had an exponential growth this year with that. Is Play Versus, I guess, free for you guys too? Is that all nationwide, or is that just something they did like maybe a trial here, or do you know?
No, it is nationwide. Yeah, they are free. So most of the funding that they get, my understanding now, is from like the sponsors and the gaming sponsors and titles and stuff like that. Is how they're able to now offer it free when it was not free. So yeah, but it's nationwide. And most of the other programs too are also besides Play. If you're not like locked into Play Versus, and again, I love Play Versus, they're fantastic. But USAEL, it was free because of our nonprofit status. But there's it begins with a V. I'm now just blanked on it. But they're also free. But each one has like its thing. So like the USAEL wants to sell you curriculum. So you're going to get tons of curriculum email and buy our curriculum. And then the one that begins with a V, they're going to want to sell you coaching training. So you're going to get tons of email like, hey, sign up for this coaching training. You need coaching training so you can be a better, those types of things.
Yeah, that's what Spin is. Spin's real big on just doing tournaments and having recruits. Like they almost seem like they want the best of the best because they want to bring in recruits. They want to build that around that. So yeah, I definitely understand that angle as well. But yeah, man, thank you so much. I think that's great what you're doing there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
and again, reach out to me on Discord and stuff like that, and on socials. Oh, we lost him. Paul, do you have any more questions? You had tons. I loved it.